Okay, keep going here. A couple other herbs in the area. This is blue bee balm that kind of volunteered there. So I like blue bee balm. So hey, we'll see how it goes. This is called Good King Henry, and these are the flower stalks of Good King Henry. It's good in salads. It's like a lettuce. And then this is some sort of echinacea. It looks like black-eyed Susans, but it has these big leaves. These leaves, the darker ones. Kind of growing in with the Good King Henry, and I'll probably weed some of one or the other out early next year. This is my favorite annual pot I've ever put together. It's got zinnias and geraniums and more begonias. And it's just gone crazy. I think these are called pinks. These white begonias I bought last year and brought them back to South Carolina, brought them back here, and they've just been very happy this summer. Over here, we've got Shasta Daisy that's gone by, but the Shasta Daisy plot gets bigger and bigger, and I have to weed it. I have to get rid of some of them because there's so many. Some of the garden ornaments I really love. I love making my stone men. I got these bottom rocks when they were redoing Beach Road, and I asked if I could have some of the rocks they were excavating. And then over there, right at the edge of the garden, is a old-fashioned water spout that we found under our camp when we raised it and put a foundation in. Under the water spout is some lilies. They have like yellow flowers. They didn't bloom this year. I think it was just too dry. And then under the lilies is this dark ground cover is periwinkle, which is just a really old-fashioned ground cover. I like the dark leaves. Probably not considered politically correct. It's probably a little bit invasive. Then coming up this way on my paths, you'll notice again a lot of really thick thyme. These are called toe ticklers. They like to be walked on, supposedly. The thyme is just insane this year. It likes to be dry, and we've had a dry summer. This, I forget the name of it, but I bought this, a little pot of this 15 years ago, and it never really did much. It supposedly likes shade. This gets quite a bit of sun, and this summer it started to spread, so we'll see what happens with that. Over here, before we get too far away, this is meadowsweet. This is Queen Elizabeth I's favorite herb. It was called a strewing herb in the Middle Ages. This has white flowers in early summer in June, and it has a really sweet smell. And people in the Middle Ages would put it in bridal bouquets and in drawers and strew it on floors to make places smell nicer. This is new this year. This is a delphinium. It has a more of a name. It's going to be about this tall next year. I'm happy it's bloomed this year. I wanted some blue flowers, kind of like the forget-me-not is blue. Oh, and over here, it's kind of hidden, and I'm going to have to do something to weed. This is some hyssop, just the last of the hyssop, and this has a really nice smell too. I like to make sachets and such. This is, no, that's not phlox, John. This is, it'll come to me. It has a yellow flower. It blooms quite a bit through the summer. It stopped blooming about 3 weeks ago. So this is a nice bright flower early in the summer. It'll come to me before we're finished. I like to get things off the side of the road. I got this off the side of the road primrose. This is primrose with a big bright yellow flower, very jolly. This I got off the side of the road. This is mallow. Many people consider it a weed, but isn't it pretty? And this is a late summer bloom. So here we are in September, and I've got this really just really soft colors, the delphinium and the pink from the mallow. I think it's just kind of a nice soft end of the summer. This is called skullcap. It spreads maybe more than most people would like. It's above some time also. I want to start making some tea with that. That's supposed to be really good for keeping happy. Things maybe against depression. Not that I don't get depressed, but I think that would be nice. It's a mood enhancer, natural mood enhancer. This is also new this year. This is some heather. And John and I loved being in Scotland. It's gone by a little bit. It was a brighter pink a few weeks ago. We put pine straw around it because it likes, I think it's acidic soil. So we add pine straw to it. And this has probably doubled in size this summer, so we're looking forward to having some more heather. Notice the time. I've got more time. It really is just like a carpet. And then before we move in, we've got some stonecrop, which does really well in my garden. We get a lot of stonecrop. I notice now I've got some powdery mildew, but I think that's just end of the summer. And some chive that have also grown crazy in the last few weeks. In my annual pot here, I like marigolds a lot. I like nasturtiums because I like to eat the flowers and they're very pretty. And some petunias. We'll go this way. Another thing that I have around a lot of places, because I like rock gardens with all my rock men, is hens and chicks. And you'll see how they spread. That's a weed, but hens and chicks do very well in this garden. Here's some more. I just think they're really pretty. And I think they're considered edible. I've never tried to eat them. Some more of the pennywort and periwinkle. Really happy with this. This is a lavender, which is not necessarily a perennial in northern Vermont, but so far so good. We mulch it really well at the end of the season. I haven't done that yet. And so far it's come back. It hasn't died in the winter, and as you can see, it's big. All of these plants came in a little pot. This is probably 3 years old. It's not that old. This is tansy next to the meadowsweet, another tall thing kind of in the middle of the garden. And tansy has these beautiful yellow flowers. I should have cut some of these back earlier, but the bees really like them. So I haven't cut them back to have dried flowers because I've let them go for the bees. But maybe I'll cut back a few for dried flowers. And this has a really pretty, this is a fancy type of tansy with kind of a fancier leaf, but this you can find on the side of the road also. And the flowers are the same, the leaves are not quite as beautiful. And tansy spreads, I've got several. I'll have to move these around. This is some more tansy that just volunteered. More time. Kind of getting into the garden a little further. Some more of that pink yarrow. Some of it's gone by. It's doing really well. I like the yarrow. And then this has borage with the blue flowers. Borage for courage, or borage for courage, is the kind of the old-fashioned saying. You can make, we put the flowers, you just take the flower, you just pull on that, and you have this pretty flower, and you can put it in your drink, and it's very pretty, and it's supposed to give you courage. So how bad could that be? Some more men. This is called sweet southernwood, and it's really got a nice smell. kind of lemony almost. I should have cut this back in the spring so it stayed bushy. I didn't realize that. I did cut it back some. And so next spring I'll cut this back so it gets bushier. You'll notice some coffee grounds. That's good for the garden, so I just throw my coffee grounds in the garden here and there. This is also a new plant this summer. This is germander, another old-fashioned herb with, you can see, really pretty little.
Wow, that's like 10 times the size.
Yeah, John just said this is about 10 times the size it was when we bought it a couple months ago. So that's not really a ground cover, but it will be a low-growing herb. I don't know what I'm going to use germander for, but I like it. A few places that I haven't mentioned, we have a stilby or a stalby. These are gone by, but I even like the gone by flowers. This has a bright pink flower, early summer, June, July. It stays blooming a long time. And then one more annual, at least an annual here in Vermont, is the mandevilla, which we got on sale for $10. It was a $50 plant, and it's got these beautiful flowers. It's a vine. We're going to try to bring it home if we can fit it in our car, because it will not last. It will not survive the winter. We'll do this section. Some more of the astilbe with some weeds in it. This is winter savory with the white flowers. It's great in bean and beef dishes, and I have harvested much of this. I'll have to cut it back whether I harvest it or not. And clearly I need to cut back. It's got some powdery mildew. I'll cut some of that back, just cut it back. And then right below John's camera, that is chamomile. That's Roman chamomile, which is the perennial, and that will just kind of spread as you see. Again, that's about 10 times as big as it was when we bought it this summer. Once I get enough of these little yellow flowers, I hope to make a tea and use it as a hair rinse, and it will lighten my hair. More thyme. This is lady's mantle. It doesn't look very pretty now, but I love these flowers. They're like a lime green, and they're very nice cut flowers. They're really nice in June, July, and into August. They last a long time. The leaves are very pretty too, but right now it's a little gone by. The borage is a biennial, and I didn't think I was getting any because I planted that, I thought like maybe 5 years ago. And this year it decided to come back, and it's very happy. I don't know what happened. It's like every 5 years I've gotten the borage. In these pots, that's sweet marjoram. It's really nice in salads. Just cut it and use it like oregano. And some pinks, I think that's what that's called. Some marigolds and some zinnias. I'm going to throw some of those zinnias in another garden because they're biennial, or they're self-seeding annuals. And so they should come back next year. I'm looking forward to coming back next year and having some purple heads on my chives. They taste good and they're pretty. Then we can just do the back of the garden. A couple more, another ground cover that, again, this year has really taken off because we've had such a dry summer. This is this isn't a weed. This is some low-growing sedum. Has a not very fancy pink flower. I think it's pink, but it's really taken off. I think I had like this much sedum from years and years until this summer. And this summer I have it here, and I have it over here. It's just growing and growing. Some more of the blue bee balm. Isn't that great? That's an early summer bloomer, and we're here in September, and some of it decided to bloom. This, I forget the name of it, this is a wildflower. It has a very fuchsia, looks almost like a clover flower. The flower will be about this tall. Again, a lot of people consider it a weed, but I like it. Then this summer I've also gone kind of further back into the garden because I got rid of some of our Shasta daisy that had been taken over way too much. I gave it to a neighbor, and some more of the blue bee balm that I think is going to be fantastic next June and July. All through here. Some hostas and some daylilies that really you can find in any garden in Lake Elmore, Vermont. There's a lot of them. They're fine. They're good for shade. This is I think this is a phlox. I have tried this in so many places in the garden, and my garden just doesn't like phlox. This has a dark burgundy flower, late summer, and once again it hasn't bloomed. It blooms maybe once every 3 years. It has very pretty little dark burgundy flowers, but it doesn't like my garden, so I think I'm just going to give that to somebody because it doesn't particularly like our garden. And the other kind of great garden art feature is our Lake Cottage sign, which when we bought the place, this came with the place, and I just like that, and I like seashells, so I throw those around, and I think that's about it. That is my garden for 2022.